So tonight I went straight from work, abandoning my cat who is now chomping on his very late dinner, to go see McFarland USA because it's a very tight weekend for me, and that was the only time I had time. And someone explain it to my cat, please, so he'll stop being mad at me. I went and saw McFarland USA, which is directed by Niki Caro. She has four films. Her third film, Winter's Luck, I still haven't managed to find because it was on Netflix, and then they got rid of it, and I was like, but I need to watch it. So she did Whale Rider, which at the time, Keisha Castle Hughes was the youngest Best Actress nominee. That was before Beasts of the Southern Wild and Quentin came in and knocked everyone's socks off. But it's a great movie. And then she did Winter's Bone, which got two actress nominations, one for Charlize Theron and one for Frances McDormand, and that's a great film. So I haven't seen Winter's Luck, which brings us to McFarland USA, which is a Disney like feel good sports film. A la I haven't seen all of them, but this one made me feel exactly very similar to Remember the Titans, which is like one of my all time favorite movies. That is a good movie. Also, bonus Denzel. So this stars Kevin Costner, so he's obviously not as hot as Denzel Washington, so you don't get to like stare at him in hotness, which is too bad. But he's really charming in this. Like, I'm not always a Costner fan, but in this movie, it's sort of hard to resist this performance. He's just very, very charming in this movie. But what really, really sells this movie, there's two aspects of it that really made me cry. One, being a fifth generation Californian, I love my state so much. I love everything about my state, and it was so beautifully filmed and such a hymn to the migrant workers who are the ones that feed us. Like, that's where my tomatoes come from. That's where the almonds that I can't eat because I'm allergic come from. And it didn't feel condescending ever. It just felt like, let's show you what this is like for the people who work the fields. And I grew up in a ranching community, so we had a similar population, but ranchers and ranchers' kids rather than agriculture. Although we did have some agriculture as well. But so both that aspect of California and those people who work in an industry that's not well understood, or like we think of the breadbasket as being like the middle of the country, but like I don't remember what the stats are, but so much of America's food comes from California, and I think people tend to think of California as like surfers and movie stars, and it's like no, and like hippies in the Bay Area, and it's like it's so much more than that. And I just love it, and I love when my state is filmed so beautifully, and you get to see like they show you the farmland, and then they show you the mountains and the ocean, and it's like everything you could want to visit is all in California. They did not go to the desert. Don't go to the desert. Actually, I really want to visit. I really want to visit the desert. I grew up in a high desert, but it's not the same thing as Death Valley. No. They don't get snow in Death Valley the way you do in where I grew up. But anyways, okay. The other thing was just how charming these young actors were. Three of them were brothers, and the other four made up the cross country team. And it's based on a true story about a guy who has been fired from a lot of jobs and ends up in McFarland. It's like the last place he could get hired. And he notices the natural running talent of several of the boys in his PE class and decides that's because he's a coach, and he's one of those guys who became a teacher in order to coach, and he coaches these boys into becoming first, like a team to reckon with, and then spoiler alert, sorry, it's history, okay, it's history spoiler, state champions, and the journey that they go through, both the boys as a team and the coach as a man sort of learning actually what he's good at at a really old age, was sort of wonderful. And there's a moment at the end where if you're not crying for like triumph of the human spirit, you probably have no soul. Um, when the lead guy was super hot, and I always get uncomfortable when like I'm attracted to high school students in films because I'm almost 30. So I looked him up. Like as soon as I got home, I was like, let's look this actor up. He is the same age as me. He's 30 playing 16, so we're good. Everybody over the age of 18 can have a crush on the lead guy, whose name I've already forgotten, but I hope he does. Carlos Pratts. I hope he does more movies because he's super hot and super charming and had a really great screen presence. He's from Texas. Actually, I'm slightly older than him, but like a couple months we're good. He's in a couple movies actually. Oh, he was in The Bridge. And an episode of Justified. Nice. Anyways, casting directors, hire all of these kids, or I don't know if they were kids, but all of the actors playing the kids, they were really good. I cried a lot during this movie. I cry. Dude, when I watch Remember the Titans or like October Sky or any of these kind of true story things, I sob. This is a great movie to watch with an audience. People cheered. They kept cheering because it's like watching a sporting event, and you when you make it, you're like yes. And so there was a lot of cheering, and it was like being at a sporting event. It was really fun. I quite enjoyed this movie. I know several of the reviews like they were saying they wish they had that like Marya Bello playing the wife had got more to do, and while I feel that's true, there were quite lacking of not lacking in women characters. There were lots of women characters. They just it would have been nice to have for them to have more screen time, but the story is really about the boys and the coach, and the boys and the coach get equal screen time. Like I don't if you count how much they spend with each of the different boys, it's about even with Costner. I don't know. I really like this movie. My brother told me he went to school in Riverside, and he told me in one class he took a California history class, I think, or a California something class, and they took him out picking one time, and he, had to pick a certain amount in an hour, and he realized that if at the rate that he was able to pick, he would like die. And there's a scene like that in the movie, and it's sort of, it could have been heavy-handed, but it really felt like that actual take a walk in someone else's shoes to understand their life a little better kind of thing. The one thing it didn't have was avocados. Where were the avocados in this movie? I guess avocados don't come from McFarland. That's my number one favorite thing about being a fifth generation Californian is I feel very strongly about the avocado. If you don't like avocados, you've probably never had a good avocado, and I feel sad for you. And you can come visit me, and we can go to the market near my house, and we can buy avocados and eat them. Go California. So this was Niki Caro's McFarland USA. It just opened this weekend, and it is playing all over the United States because it's from Disney, so you should go see it. Take your kids, PG, and I don't even know why it's PG. I guess a little bit of violence at one point. That's probably why it's PG, so you're good. Go see it.